Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and the Giants. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host Jum. Today we talk about Monkey Man, the latest action-packed movie, this time starring Dev Patel in his directorial debut.
Directed by.
Yeah,
It was a lot of Deb Pateling.
yeah, he's all over this movie. And it's earned some critical praise, which I believe is well earned, honestly. Even though I thought this movie would be all action-packed from start to beginning, I didn't expect some slow moments, but I appreciated the slow moments in between.
Yeah, and like seeing this, like the trailer for Monkey Man, for sure everybody and their like in their heads were like, oh, it's just Indian John Wick,
Yeah,
and surprisingly, it isn't. Like it is when it comes to like the action scenes, and I get where they're coming from, but like this does not. It feels like its own entity rather than it trying to be or replicating something that it already is.
yeah,
So I'm pretty happy with like where this went.
yeah. It's its own thing, and I do appreciate Dev Patel's efforts. Like I've seen some interviews or read some stuff where he was horribly injured, or like
He
they
broke his
had
hand.
broke his hand, tore his shoulder, all that jazz, and like they were such on a tight budget that every time they would smash a table with somebody, they would have to pick up the pieces just to repair it. And you're like, oh man, this man really wanted this movie to be done, and you can see the passion in this one. Like I do know
Yeah.
he begged the producers not to put this in the can because they were like, we don't see any potential with this movie, and he was begging them until Jordan Peele's production company picked this up and made it what it is. Saved this movie.
Funny enough,
Yeah,
yeah. Funny enough, his production teams, his studio is pretty much called Monkey Paw, so I
yeah,
think it's very fitting.
yeah, definitely. And like I do like how we open up with Monkey Man himself, and he's not a perfect combatant. Like he loses
No.
for the first half of this movie. Like whether it's in the fighting ring with Charlton Copley, who I had no idea was in this movie, or like
Neither
his
did I, and I really thought I was like, is this the bad guy? We don't see the bad guy, by the way. I think we do. I don't know. In the trailer, and I
yeah,
thought Sheldon Copley is the bad guy or like one of the bad guys, but
yeah,
he's not. It's mostly like a cameo
yeah.
of what he does here.
I was surprised to see him because I was like, I haven't seen you since that one movie with Matt Damon. Jesus.
Oh, Oblivion? What is it called?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was his follow up to District 9. But yeah, you see Monkey Man. They don't really give him a name too. They just call him Bobby. But I assume that.
Bob. Yeah, he goes by like different like aliases or names. Like he goes by Bobby to his like one friend, the one that owns that really fast
Tuck tuck.
pedicab.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and like and he goes by Kong in the ring,
yeah,
and nobody really knows his name.
yeah.
Oddly enough.
I do appreciate the fact that he's a nameless protagonist, and like you do get bits and pieces of his backstory where his people were forced out of their land by the police force by that one religious leader, and like something
Hmm.
happens to his mom. You don't really get answers until like the middle and end, and but it is a great pacing. Like I do like Dev Patel's pacing in this one, especially
Hmm.
when it comes to explaining this guy's backstory and when it comes to action. Like it's not like John Wick where right away there's like a killing spree. It's like a slow build. Like he gets a job at this fancy club, and this club has trade and like the darkest places of human, I guess human trade in general, like drugs, like sex
Uh,
slaves, and like
yeah.
you're like yeah, this is not legal at all, but like this is the dark seedy underbelly of, I guess, what India is, or what
Yeah.
Devatal knows what his culture is. Like, you see the gun store, and you're like, holy fuck, Jesus Christ, that's a small arsenal there.
Oh no, I was about to say, I was like, does he use a gun in this one? He does,
Yeah,
but it's only one gun.
yeah,
And it's the revolver, and that's it. Like he doesn't have like an AR or something, and he's just like taking out fools everywhere. No, he
Yeah,
just has this one gun, but majority of the time he's just using his fists, and
yeah,
I love that. But yeah, you mentioned that like he pretty much like he works his way up
yeah,
to the point where he's like serving like the face of the club
yeah.
to the point where he was able to like go down to the VIP section where he starts like handing instead of drinks, it's Coke in a vial, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, and like, yeah, he works his way and where he gets his targets, one being the police captain who was at his village.
mm.
And like, again, once it builds up to the first climax, you're like, Monkey Man just makes a shit ton of mistakes. You're like, I think you're out of your league when he points the gun at the captain and he's just shaking.
Yeah, like it's so weird because like you would feel like at this point he would have been capable enough.
Yeah,
And we're kind of used to do the whole okay, he'll just dispatch him. He had enough time to train.
yeah,
You see him in the ring, he's doing fine.
yeah,
But nah, he was a little out of his league, and like we get like another solid bathroom scene like with like Mission Impossible Fallout, and now here
yeah,
where not gonna lie, it's just really good.
yeah.
Like them smashing their head on the sink, and I'm like,
The,
that was a good impact.
you're like, God, he really didn't prepare for the captain because the captain obviously can stand on his own. You're like, holy shit, he's beating the shit out of you.
Oddly enough, yeah, mostly in this kind of situation where you already like meet up with like one of the big baddies, they're kind of like they have their goons to
Yeah,
fight.
yeah,
And the guy's like a final boss on his own. I was like, damn.
right? I do love the scene when he's trying to escape and he tries to smash through the window and it doesn't budge, and you're like, yeah, yeah, you know what? That's realistic, you know? Most of the time,
Yeah.
it wouldn't do it. It wouldn't smash on impact.
Yeah. I love the slow progression of his character.
Yeah,
Uh, but like, dude, not like this entire movie's fucking gritty.
yeah,
It's nasty. Like, if you're not a fan of violence or like, I can't really say gore, but like, if you're not a fan of like just nasty stuff, this might not be the movie for you.
yeah,
Like there's a scene where Dev Patel like is trying to like shoot the guy, and the guy like tosses the pistol into a toilet that's filled with shit, and Dev Patel just like sticks his hand in there and
Yeah.
trying to get the gun. I'm like, I was like, all right,
right?
that was nasty. And then like the next scene is like him like trying to claw his like arm off of him. And I was
Yeah.
like, your hand was in shit. But yeah, it is a bit slow though in some areas, which I do appreciate. Where
Yeah.
like you see him like when he's like working at the start, where he like feeds the dog.
Yeah, and trains it
Like-
to bring the gun. I was like, oh no, not another
Yeah.
dog. Please, God.
And I was like, that is so good.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, I was like, please don't kill another dog. But I was like, I didn't know that was his entire plan.
Yeah.
I was like, that is so sick.
Yeah, because the entire
yeah.
time when he gets the revolver, you're like, how is he gonna sneak that past work? Because they have
Yeah.
security checks, and then you see the answer with the dog bringing it to him. And you're like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I do love the obvious like call back to John Wick, where the guy is obviously like, oh, you like John Wick? Here's the actual gun from the movie, and you're like, oh, okay, that's an
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah, they
nod.
name dropped John Wick. I was like, all right.
Yeah, but even though this movie is not like John Wick at all, in terms of like
Yeah.
everything, there's not like much of a world building. It's just one man on a mission, and he fails in the first half, and you're like, shit, where do we go now? Once he gets shot and plunges into the river, you're like, oh well.
The very nasty ass river. By the way, I am not insulting like any culture. We have that here too.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, just making that clear. Like him getting shot and getting like every kind of disease after like plunging into
The river,
the nasty ass river. I'm like, oh Lord, that's just like Pasig River.
right?
And like it's even worse is that like he's like in the water and like you see the light and you see like the little itty bitty bits of like
Whatever creatures there.
whatever.
Yeah, that's why the Hydra community had such a hard time rescuing him. You're like, yeah, I don't blame you. But yeah,
They're like, ew, ew. But yeah, yeah, he gets rescued, and like he kind of goes into this, I don't know, Shadow Clan
yeah,
kind of deal, and I love it.
yeah. He gets rescued by a community that the most people wouldn't think to look twice. They're like, he's obviously not there, because like they themselves are being picked on by the police because they are a trans community, and the police don't like that, and they're like, we we need a hero. We need someone to step up. You need to be the hero that you need to be. And then he goes to this like psychedelic trip where he relives the flashback of his mom, and you're like, well, that's rough
Yeah,
to see. Jesus Christ.
and like he opens his chest, kind of like the mural with the monkey man.
Yeah, yeah. With the whole myth of, I forgot the god's name, but I think it was Hanuman, where he becomes
Hmm.
this huge, gigantic like hero of the people, and you're like, ah, okay, interesting myth. Like I
Yeah,
never really delved into like Indian mythology, but like I always found it fascinating.
yeah, but it like when you look deeper into the movie, and I gotta love Dev Patel on what he is trying to say within this movie.
Yeah,
It's clearly political. Like you can't gloss that over.
I was about to
This
say,
movie is political.
yeah, I was about to say, I wonder, I like at the midpoint when he's being rehabilitated, I was like, I wonder if this is Dev Patel's like commentary on like the modern state of Indian politics. With like,
It is.
especially with like the leader, I was like, that is very, very timely with like what's
Hmm.
going on now.
Yeah. So like because it's this is a point where our main character, Mr. No Name, has to realize he's not fighting for himself. He is like that. He is that one section of the oppressed, which is the poor,
Yeah,
and then there is the other one where it is, you know,
the 1%.
yeah, and then there is also say sex slaves and people who are discriminated,
Yeah,
whether it would be for their sexuality or how they want to be.
well, for how they want to be and they just want to exist, have equal rights. And like,
Yeah.
that's why one of the
So
standout.
sorry.
Sorry, I was about to say the standout character. One of the other ones is Alpha, the leader of this trans community, because
Hmm.
they are the ones who push Mr. Nobody to be like, you have to stand up for us now, for the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's when he finds out it's not just me anymore. That's what I like is like, we're fighting, well, the 1%, whether it be corrupt cops, very
Yeah,
influential but corrupt religious figures,
yeah,
and yeah, just like anyone in power now, because clearly this is where, like, for sure, there's more people who are oppressed, but like, this is where it's like affecting the most, which is their community,
yeah,
and the Paz character is just the how would you say?
yeah.
I was gonna say the Jesus, but like,
I would say kind of like how Batman is this idea of like we can stand up for ourselves, like rise above our current position and make a difference, even if it's just
yeah,
one man. Like it's like what we just talked about, like Gumbers and Henry Luna, but like it's like that one spark that changes everything. Like hopefully he
yeah,
can be. I do like the political commentary too from Dev Patel.
yeah, and like him like training and him going through all the fights,
Yeah,
you could clearly see the rage.
yeah,
Like for sure, this is very cathartic to a lot of people, and I really hope people kind of see this message instead of, oh, it's just an action movie.
yeah,
That a this is how we feel, and this is how we would love to act, or this is how like our feelings are being represented through
yeah,
the situation.
yeah. I do love that when he comes back to the ring, he knocks out that one guy he was having such a
Yeah,
hard time with in the beginning.
man, holy fucking shit! Like on paper, it sounds cheesy, but like in practice, it goes so fucking hard. It's like when he defeats the guy, it closes like it hands to him and going like straight up doing the monkey chest thing. I was like, yeah.
Hell
Like
yeah.
not a single moment. I was like, oh, that was kind of lame. No, I'll like if I'm wearing a monkey mask, I'm doing monkey shit, you know.
Right? Uh, and then he gives the money to the trans community and then makes his way back to the club where he finally kicks ass. Like, if you were waiting for, like, almost John Wick stuff to happen, this is the part. The last act, you're like, wow, this is cathartic. Like, he just easily
Yeah.
one-shots people and you're like, holy fuck.
And just doing well. Like I think that herb, Alpha did say that like the herb, like gave him powers or like
Yeah.
enhanced his like abilities in some way. And
Yeah.
like yeah,
And then the bar scene where it's like an overshot, top shot, you're like, Jesus Christ, this goes so hard. Like when he's
yeah,
surrounded and then the Hydra community comes in and you're like, and you see Alpha and you're just like, all right, let's fucking do this. And like the music
yeah.
really goes hard. You're like, Jesus Christ, I need a soundtrack for this.
And by the way, you don't see that
Yeah,
like in any media. Or I don't know if we're just missing something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen this before where they're in their outfits and like them going through and like fighting them
yeah,
goes so fucking hard.
yeah,
It's like Kiyoshi Warrior esque kind of vibe,
yeah.
and it's so great.
I do love the scenes where they're twirling in the wind and then you see shots of blood on like the past rulers who like obviously also stepped down on the people or like who were stepping
Yeah,
in the press and now their faces are full of blood of people who are descended to finally fight back and you're like, man, the symbolism in this movie is fucking real. It's fucking goes fucking hard.
very true. And
Ah,
like, I love it that Dev Patel like comes in. Mr. Nolan comes in with like fireworks,
yeah.
and I was like, and he's using it effectively. I was like,
That one guy who just charged them and gets stopped by them. You're like, oh fuck, you're not getting up.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that scene. Impractical, but like, he made it work. I guess it works. Maybe
I
use what you
guess,
can.
right? And then Dev Patel's fighting on like the countertop, and you're like, Jesus Christ, Dev Patel really puts in the work. Like you can really appreciate that Dev Patel, his physicality and the way he coordinates himself. For like this man is fully devoted to this movie, and I truly love how much effort he puts into this, especially in like the final fight with him and the captain, where you're like the captain can barely scratch him now. You're like, all right, it's a fair fight now.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and like he caves in his skull, and you're like, yeah, you caved in his
And
mom's skull, and now it's fair.
I was about to say, yeah, it's the same kind of like thing that he did to his mom, and not gonna lie, I really thought my movie like hanged because he kept like hitting him with a shoe.
Yeah,
He'd stop, the guy would get back up, hit him with the shoe again,
yeah,
and wait and get back up. I was like, wait, is this part of the movie?
right. I was like, am I going backwards for some reason? Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. Like, am I hitting repeat by accident? And
Or-
it's not it.
yeah,
He's just taking his time. And then when I found that out, I was like, oh, okay, that's
yeah.
not bad. I like.
And then he confronts that religious leader, and then the guy's like, sneak attack, and you're like, fuck, he stabbed him pretty good. What the fuck do we do now? And we're
Yeah,
ending.
like
What happens
you're talking
now?
about like these shoes.
Yeah,
And I'm like, all right, cool. And then stabs it. I was like, oh,
yeah. And then Dev Patel is like reverse Uno card. He stabs the guy and starts repeating, stabbing him. And then the guy's
yeah.
like, wait, please, have mercy, forgive me. And the guy's like, only God can forgive you now. Just murders him. You're like, oh fuck. All right.
Yeah, and sadly, it's an open-ended ending,
Yeah.
but he passes out or dies. I
Right.
don't know. You know, like it's open-ended, so he could be alive, could be dead. I would love to see like a sequel to this.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And like, yeah, and that's it. It ends there. He like straight up, Dev Patel's character, Mr. No Name, starts from the bottom, doing fighting rings, works his way up to the bar, like getting to like VIP people, works
Yeah.
his way back down after getting shot, and then works his way up to Arasaka Tower and like finally takes out, you know, the big baddie. And I'm like, it's very straightforward, but at the same time, I just love the entire journey.
Yeah. And like I hope maybe Alpha and the community get him in time. Who knows?
Yeah.
And maybe that's a
Like
setup
they've
for the
done it
sequel.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah, they could do it again.
right,
Like, sure, he had like like a bullet wound and maybe sepsis, but
right.
yeah, I think they could do a knife wound pretty easily.
Exactly. But yeah, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I think for such a straightforward movie, it's very, what do you call that? It's very like art house too. Like this is not just another John Wick clone. This is like a very great project that Dev Patel has delved into and has made his own. And you can really tell that this stands out of like all of the other wannabe action movies, like who try to be like John Wick clones or try to follow that trend. This one really sets its own trend, and I do appreciate it. I do like it for that, and I'm glad
Yeah,
it came out. I'm glad Dev Patel got to make the movie he so really wanted. He dreamed of making all those years ago.
yeah.
But yeah, anything else to add before we wrap this up?
No.
Yeah.
I think we sang all of our praises.
Yeah, I know Dev Patel is up for the new Jurassic World movie with Scarlett Johansson. So yeah, so
Sick.
right,
Please have a hand in like writing it, because holy shit, a lot of writers are fucking it up.
right. So we'll see what happens with that too. But yeah, let's go to our ratings. What would you rate Monkey Man?
I'll rate Monkey Man a 9 out of 10. Like, it's not a perfect movie, but it's really high up there.
Yeah,
And I fairly enjoyed it. A lot of the times, I do feel like some of the shots were a little too long.
hmm.
Like, they really stayed on the shot, and I was not a fan of the shaky cam.
Yeah,
All that. I really wish I could see the moves from time to time, but it does shake a bit, and it,
yeah,
not gonna lie, at some point it kind of made me sick. I was like, oh, okay, that was a bit weird to look at. But
right.
other than that, the action scenes were great. Dev Patel was fucking great. Like, everybody in this movie did a very good job. Oddly enough, character development wasn't the best, even though we do get a little bit of exposition with Dev Patel's character. Not a lot of, like, characters that will, like, cement themselves.
Yeah,
Like, oh, we know that character, we know this character. Everybody is just kind of like a cog in the plot machine
yeah,
for Dev Patel's character, and sometimes it just works that way, you know.
yeah,
Sometimes we just don't need it, and that's okay with me. It's mostly the journey rather than the people. I don't know.
right.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a great watch. I suggest everybody to like give it a shot, because this man, Dev Patel, clearly worked hella hard on making it. He did it through like the pandemic
Yeah,
and had a lot of complications, like breaking a camera, breaking his shoulder, and breaking his arm,
right.
and just a lot of breaking. And for him to like just like trudge through and make the movie, kind of earns points in itself, but I feel like that might be a bit unfair. So I'll just base it on what I enjoyed, and I enjoyed it pretty well. So yeah, it's a 9 out of 10.
Okay. I also will give it a 9 out of 10. I do like the style of Dev Patel. I do like the character of Mr. No Name, even though I wish he had a bit more development. Like, it's just him and Alpha that really are the main characters that really push the plot forward. Like, they're fun characters too, like Sarto Copley or like Alfonso with his really revved up tuk tuk. I'm like, I can't believe that thing exists. Alright, sure. Uh, But like aside from that, the action is pretty great when it's not shaky cam, and like the cinematography is pretty good too. And like after reading everything that he went through, you're like, I'm glad you got to make the movie you really wanted to make. And like I hope he does more movies after this, because he definitely has earned his right to be a director. As because we already know he's such a great actor, and now he can do other stuff too. But yeah, about 9 out of 10. It's a really great movie. And I really don't have any questions to add to this one, so I'll just say, yeah, that's been our video for Monkey Man. What do you guys think? If you like our videos, please leave them a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments and our reaction to trailers, and Spotify to hear us on the go. In the BGM and Wolf on Letterboxd, and Zoe does voices on TikTok. Where can they find you?
But you can find me at JomJuM _ on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next one, we'll see you guys there. Bye, everybody.
Wow.